This video will contain no spoilers. Earthbound is a 1994 role-playing game developed by Ape Inc. and HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo. It is also pretty good, which is why I will be discussing it today. The game follows a young boy named Ness and several of his friends going on an adventure to stop the evil Gygas, some malevolent alien who's trying to destroy the world or something. Most of the game doesn't feature much of him, though. The majority of antagonists are just vaguely implied to be possessed by him. Most of the game involves exploring relatively isolated, yet open areas, what are basically vignettes, involving things such as helming a rock band, rescuing someone from a department store, and getting extremely high in the back of a coffee shop and having a severe bad trip. All of those are also in the same city, so yeah, this is a somewhat offbeat game. To the degree where I'm fairly surprised Nintendo published this, considering that's only one of like 4 scenes in the game where the kids take drugs. Like I said, most of the game involves this sort of vignettes, but they still all at least sort of tie in back into your quest to defeat Gygas, even if fairly indirectly. Near the end of the game, though, the story gets more focused, although I will not be spoiling that. In most games, having the majority of the plot be mostly unrelated would be an issue, but in this sort of game, mainly focused around being humorous and absurd, which definitely succeeds at since it's hilarious, it doesn't really matter all that much, and if anything, it sort of adds to it. While the story is the most memorable part of the game, the real meat of it is contained in the combat, since the exploration is usually trivial and linear. Unfortunately, the combat is one of the weaker components of the game. It's not terrible, or anywhere near as bad as in a game like Space Funeral or Off, but it's very easy and pretty tedious. The main issue with the combat in this game is the slow pace. Pretty much everything within battles in this game moves at a glacial tempo, which makes getting into constant encounters, and believe me, I mean constant, very tedious. Although one thing this game does well is the encounter system. Basically, you can see enemies moving on the map which will chase you if they see you. This means you can avoid some of them, and there are no random encounters featured, which I greatly appreciate as random encounters suck. Another neat feature is that when you're returning to your earlier areas, if you get into an encounter with a very easy enemy and you're leveled up enough, they instantly die while still giving you the XP they would have netted you. Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass did something similar, and I really wish more games had implemented this kind of system. The bosses are cool too, they're typically harder and more engaging, and the slower pace works better with them. The areas in the game are pretty neat too. They're consistently creative and fun to explore, despite typically being fairly generic locales. One issue the navigation has is how slow the player walks. It's not a huge deal, but combined with the combat's pacing, it can feel a little frustrating at times. But anyways, levels are usually pretty simple in design, which can be an issue in some games, but really isn't here. At least with the non-dungeon areas, as most of the gameplay in those locations is just walking between buildings. In some of the more open, uninhabited areas, like the deserts of Scaraba, the game opens up a little, but it still manages to be fairly non-confusing. A couple of the dungeons like the Pyramid are just sort of lame straight lines, but they could be a lot worse, and those areas are usually pretty short anyways. The art in the game is well done too. Most of it is fairly standard pixel art, but still, it's executed well. And a lot of the enemy designs are fantastic, as you can see here. Honestly, the enemy designs are some of the highlights of the game. No other games I can think of let you fight a gas pump. Apart from those, the art is pretty simplistic, in a good way, but it's still done quite well overall and is very, very charming to look at. And the music is also really well done. It's very creative and filled with variety considering it's a Super Nintendo game. There was a lot of sample use, which helps add a lot of welcome oddity to the soundtrack. Also, the music is just very catchy in general and works very well as a background to all the absurd stuff you get up to in the game. Even if you don't check out the game, I'd still highly recommend giving the soundtrack a listen sometime if you enjoy that kind of music. In conclusion, Earthbound is quite a good game. There are some definite issues with it, mainly the super slow combat, but I'd still recommend it in spite of those. It is a very creative and enjoyable game, and definitely deserves the cult classic status it has achieved. If you can get a hold of it, definitely check it out sometime.